I think we're
So
good to go.
let me share the screen with you. All right. So can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. So today I will talk about Korean society, culture, and language as a whole. I know that some of you might feel difficult about Korean language itself, but never be afraid. I'll make it easy, and it's not about the language itself, but only about, but also about society and culture. So before I start the whole presentation, maybe I should introduce about myself. So, like I already mentioned briefly, my name is HyunOh. So, HyunOh is my first name, and Hong is my last name. I am Korean, and I'm originally from Seoul. And I'm currently working in a Korean farm. Um, I stayed in Kazakhstan in 2017 for half a year, and I joined the Almaty language mixer. And back in 2017, I also had a lesson like this. And I speak Korean, English, and Russian. So please feel free to ask me in the language that you feel comfortable with. And maybe there's a possibility that I mix up, those languages in between. Uh, can everybody understand English and Russian?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, first of all, let's talk about the geography. As you see in the map, Kazakhstan is right here, and Korea is right there in the red circle. As you can see, it is, between China and Japan. And I bet you probably know pretty different images about Korea. The well-known guy called Kim Jong-un and his missile, and the weird-looking generals, and also strict rules, throughout the country. Interesting. And on the other side, you probably see the picture of highly advanced city, the K-pop, and automated manufacturing. So why are there so different images about Korea? It's of course because the country itself got divided into two parts: the North Korea and South Korea. And actually, as a Korean, whenever I go outside of my country, it is the first question that I confront with. I mean, even if I say I'm from Korea, then the next the next question follow up is North or South. So North Korea, the official name is Democratic People's Republic of Korea, in Russian КНДР, in South Republic of Korea, and in Russian просто Республика Корея. So the differences between North and South is they adopted communism there. You see the statues like Lenin and Stalin, up there north. And while South Korea, they adopted capitalism, and they had great close relationship with United States. So the country actually has the same people, same history, but it got divided because of history, because of the Cold War. So with North, of course, Soviet Union, and with South, America stood there and divided the country. There was a war with push and pull, and after that, it eventually got into the shape like this. So up until today, we still have such a border in between North and South. And you see North Korean soldiers, they are standing below, and South Korean on the top, right here. But not only confrontation there was, but also there was a peaceful movement, hopefully for reunification of the country. Uh, President Moon Jae-in of South Korea and leader of North Korea, they met each other and they even hugged. There was a once important talk between U.S. and North Korea, one time in Singapore, they were both smiling, right? And the other time in Vietnam. But of course, as you see in their face, not smiling, that didn't go that well. So uh, with the new president-elect of Joe Biden in the United States, we got to see, what's going to happen next. So that's pretty much about the general history and politics that we have. And next on is the economy of the country. So South Korea is such a small country, it has tiny little land, tiny little territory, but nevertheless, it is counted as the 10th largest economy in the world, and the economy itself is even bigger than Russia. So that was the GDP, and when it comes to the GDP per capita, it's taking 27th place in the world. So the GDP per capita is lower than France or Japan, higher than that of Spain, Taiwan, and similar to that of Italy. So what's famous about Korea in general? I bet you probably heard of such brands: Samsung, LG, Hyundai, Kia. They are really large companies in the world. But not only that, you probably have tasted some snacks, Korean, like the choco pie, milkies, the soft drink, and dashirak. It's also Korean, by the
Oh my
way.
God.
Yeah. And we have Korean cigarettes as well. And besides those, brands and food, we have Korean drinks called soju that contains 20% of alcohol, and Korean kimchi, which is, simply ostraya kapusta. And I bet a lot of Russians or CIS country citizens, they could recognize this еда, морковь по-корейски. И многие, наверное, думают, что это корейская еда, но в самом деле в Корее не можете найти это, потому что so it's because not original, Koreans they made in here in Korea, but when Koreans they got moved to Central Asia, they initially wanted to make kimchi with the cabbage, but they could not find the cabbage. So instead, they put carrot to make kimchi. So that's the story behind that. It's pretty sad because it's somehow connected with, Korea's diaspora. I see in Kazakhstan, you probably have some Korean местные корейцы, which, people that speak Russian and born and raised there, but we are actually one people, and they somehow wanted to stick with their tradition of making kimchi. And in various spheres like music, you have BTS, Blackpink, and not only those good-looking boys or girls. We also had fat ajoshi, fat old man called Psy. So I don't know. I don't really understand why, but it's somehow being big nowadays. The K-pop thing. So yeah, we also have dramas like this: The Descendants of Sun, Goblin, Men Better Than Flowers, I think.
Boys over flowers.
I'm sorry.
Boys over flowers.
Oh, Boys Over Flowers. I'm sorry. Yes, just let me. Please correct me if I get anything wrong. So you watched The Boys Over Flowers, right?
I have watched most как? Большинство, most of the Korean dramas.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a huge fan of BTS.
Oh, I see. I really like their song called 전하지 못한 진심, the untold
which
truth.
means
How is
Untold,
untold?
untold truth.
Untold truth.
Yeah.
the boys something then flowers is just my first drama that I've ever watched, and I fall in love with the um, Korean TV shows.
Oh, really?
That was so nice.
All right. Uh, yeah. So that was the K-pop and drama, and we also had movie uh, back in 2020, I guess. The movie called Parasite. It won the Oscars award in the United States, gained popularity. But in those following slides, you probably thought, oh, maybe there are only good things about Korea, right? I see, their music and the movie dramas, they're all cool. But of course, Korea, it has a lot of, gloomy side on its society as well. So Korea has one of the highest suicide rate in the world. You see it's Greenland and Lithuania, and Korea is taking number 3 in the world. A lot of people they are suiciding. It is partly because of the huge gap between rich and poor. You see, rich people they are living in such great houses, while especially elderly they are living in extremely poor condition. And also there are a lot of stresses put on Koreans. You see, the school students, they are studying all the time. They want to get out of their school, gaining, yearning for freedom, which is not allowed for 12 years, during the school ages. And I bet many of you already know that Koreans, they are hardworking, a lot of work, and even Korean idols, even they're beautiful, handsome, great looking, but they need to practice all day long, and only some people get the opportunity of debut and become famous, and the rest of them, like 90%, I would say, they are training hard, but not really being a star at all. So those kind of competition and hard situation of studying and university education lead to belated economic activities. So Koreans they get married really late compared to other countries. In Asia, Korea is actually marrying at the very latest. The average age of first marriage is 31.8, while that of Kazakhstan is 25.6. And also the birth rate is really, really low. It actually is the lowest in the world. So when, father and mother, they meet, there are two people and they need to have, for example, two children to sustain a society. But Korea's got only 0.92 as of 2019, and that even decreased further to 0.84 in 2020. So the Economic Times, they say South Korea is going to extinct because of its population crisis. So
I'm sorry. Can I ask a question? Is there
absolutely.
anything like why is the birth rate day so low in Korea? Is there something that I don't know people don't want kids, or they just want more of like husband and wife life?
Mhm. Actually, there are many reasons behind this. Like you said, some people they don't want the uh, like normal family lives. They want to live their own lives. Uh, they want to freely spend their time on what they want. And but not only that, and I believe the most reason is because of the economic reasons. The price of houses, for example, are extremely expensive, and they cannot really afford housing. And once they get married and they have a baby, there's a possibility that in your workplace they require you to take a rest and possibly get layoffs, for example. So the society itself does not, I think, support you to raise a child. So a lot of reasons comprehensively affects on this issue.
I have one question for you. Do you think that, yeah, I mean, are there any genetics factors? Because when you say that it's a fertility, first I thought that it could be a genetic problems. Do you have any idea about it?
Oh no, no, it's not anything about genetic problem, but like I said, Koreans they get to work late. Они попозже зарабатывают деньги после окончания университета или после сильного конкуренции, например. Поэтому это трудно все получить, такую возможность на работу. И потом это очень сильно как на окружение, окружающее. Окружающие такие...
HyunOh,
Yeah.
why? I know she speaks Russian, but she's originally Turkish, so I think it would be better if you explain it in English to her and to us.
Thank you.
Sorry.
And she's the only one. All the others would actually enjoy your Russian, and it's absolutely flawlessly fluent. I just worry that we'll need to translate afterwards.
I'm sorry.
No, it's
Sorry.
totally fine. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I'm
Russian
sorry.
next time, actually.
So where did I stop? So it's not about the genetic part, but it's more of a social reasons behind that.
I
They
see.
they earn money late after graduation of university, and not only right after graduation you get a job opportunity, but you also need 1 or 2 years of preparing, for exams, the interviews, because there are a lot of competition. So yeah, that's I think the reason. So yeah, although there are some good facts and bad facts about the country Korea, I hope that there comes a bright future up ahead. As a Korean, I really hope that there comes good moment for the bad rich and gap, rich and bad gaps, and bad fertility rates, and so on. So yeah, that was a part for a brief introduction about the country and their politics, economics, and social facts. And let's keep going on the language part. So those are the table. That is the table that I prepared for Korean. So how about, first of all, let's go over from the top to the bottom with Korean native pronunciation.
Okay.
So saying hello is 안녕하세요.
Okay. Should we repeat?
Yes, please.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, all of us.
Yeah.
안녕하세요.
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 So interesting fact about Korean is that we have the concept of honorific. So 안녕하세요 is the polite form of saying hello, but like casually saying hi would be just 안녕, 안녕.
안녕.
I know this one.
Yeah. 안녕. That's it. And saying thank you. In polite version, it's gonna be 감사합니다.
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 You're ready. So polite version 감사합니다. And for casual version, it's gonna be 고마워.
It's easier. 고마워.
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 And also 고맙습니다.
Yeah, 고맙습니다. There are many different forms. 고맙습니다, 감사합니다. Yeah, you're right. And I'm sorry is 죄송합니다.
죄송합니다.
미안해. I'm gonna go for the casual part.
미안해.
Maybe that's gonna be better. Yeah. So 미안해 is the casual version. 미안해.
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 So you don't pronounce he?
미안해.
Okay.
Like that
미안해.
way. Yeah. 미안해.
미안.
Yeah, 미안 also works. 미안. And goodbye, a bit complicated, but you gotta think of a situation. Because if you're staying in one place for good and the other person is leaving, for example, it's gonna be 안녕히 가세요. So saying goodbye for someone that goes. 안녕히 가세요.
안녕히 가세요.
Exactly. Yeah. But in case someone is still staying in a place they are still, and you're gonna be the one leaving, the saying goodbye is gonna be 안녕히 계세요. So good staying. 안녕히 계세요.
The same in Turkish, right, Nilay?
Right.
Same language group. The roots are from Altai.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're coming from the same language. Same family.
I didn't know that the same rule applies in Turkish.
Yes.
Interesting.
Especially letters, I guess, as a
it?
pronunciation.
Interesting. I only know merhaba, arkadaş. So that's
That's
it.
enough.
But yeah, Turkish. I've been in Turkey one time. It's a lovely country.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, let's keep going. So 안녕 also works for goodbye in casual way. So
안녕.
saying hello, 안녕. Saying goodbye, 안녕, the same. And yes, in Korean, it can be 예 or 네, the same. We have just two different versions. So repeat after me. 예,
Yeah.
Yeah.
예. And 네.
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 Yeah. So they are both for yes, but I see oftentimes my for example Russian language speakers, they get confused with ne because for them it sounds like it's no, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's a polite version, and for casual version it's gonna be all
어.
or 응.
응.
Yeah.
어. 응.
Right.
That's
And saying no is gonna be 아니요,
안녕.
아니요, and 아니.
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 Yeah. You're beautiful.
Thank
예뻐요.
you.
예뻐요.
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 Yeah. And just dropping 요 in the end, it's gonna be 예뻐.
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 You're handsome. 멋져요.
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 맞춰요.
멋져요. And 멋져.
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 Right. I love you. 사랑해요.
사랑해.
사랑해요.
Everyone knows this one.
I know.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
사랑해.
Do you know the song? 나나나 사랑해. This one.
This is how you know who watched the soap operas.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So 사랑해 gonna be the casual version. 사랑해.
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 Yeah. And with the word really, right? It's 진짜요?
진짜요? 진짜?
진짜? Yeah. Like to express your surprisement, you gotta exaggerate it a bit, you know. 진짜? Like that.
진짜?
진짜? Yeah.
The Korean language, would you say it's like, you know, emotional? Like, would you put all the mimics when you talk?
What do you mean? So the
Like,
expressment?
yeah, when you talk, is there like a lot of surprisement? Like, instead of saying just really, you're like, oh, really? Exaggerating.
Yeah. I think so. And awesome. It's gonna be 와 대박이네요.
대박이네요. or 대단하다.
Yeah, 대단하다 also means awesome, but it just
Okay.
literally means good or great. But 대박 is more like the slang version of that. Awesome.
대박.
대박.
Yeah. 와 대박.
대박.
Like that.
대박이네요.
And I'm not really sure. I don't know if I drew all these words from Korean dramas, but are you crazy? Gonna be 미쳤어요?
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 미쳤어?
Yeah,
미쳤어?
미쳤어? Yeah.
Oh, if I put this two, 진짜 미쳤어요? Really? Are you crazy?
Yeah, exactly.
Yay.
진짜
대박.
미쳤어.
됐어?
Yeah, you guys are already catching up the language. So why is gonna be 왜요?
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 왜?
왜? You guys are good. And this is another calling for Korean because we differentiate people, like whether the person is older than you or younger than you. So for older people, we have certain calling. If he is an older brother, and if you're a girl and if you're calling an older brother, for example, it's gonna be 오빠.
오빠.
So cute. 오빠.
오빠. And if you're calling an older brother as a man, it's gonna be 형.
형.
But for girls, of course, you guys never gonna use this word anyway, because you're gonna be either calling your 오빠 or 언니. So the calling for older sister as a girl gonna be 언니.
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 And if a Korean girl gets really highly emotional and want to see attachment to some older sister, then it's like, oh 언니, like that. They go like that. Oh 언니, like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Just use it properly depending on the situation.
Yeah.
You know the word at least.
Right.
And calling for older sister as a man, 누나 will be the calling.
누나.
And if you're to call an old man on the street, like stranger but old man, it's gonna be 아저씨.
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 Mm-hmm.
아저씨.
And if it's an old woman, it's gonna be 아줌마.
아줌마.
아줌마 터주세요.
Yeah.
What did you say? How to ask what?
No. It's like calling for an old woman. So in Russian, it's gonna be женщина.
Oh.
Like извините, женщина.
тетенька.
Got it.
Тетенька. Yeah, тетенька.
Mm-hmm.
And not that many people will be happy, to hear a word like тетенька, right? So
Yeah.
it might be aggressive to some people.
Mhm.
아줌마. Be careful with it.
So how to politely recall to someone?
So in order to avoid such an aggressive, calling and such situation, we just call a passerby saying, "Hey there," like word there. So it
There.
means, so it's gonna be 저기요.
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 Hey there, 저기요.
Mm.
It's a polite way, and just a casual way, it's gonna be "야."
No
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
That's funny.
Yeah, it means I, right, in Russian.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
And plus, when you said that, I took it in a more aggressive way than the word before, because if in Russia you call someone it's just like they'll think you're crazy, I guess.
Really?
It's like A.
A.
Yeah.
I see. So, like we covered all these words in Korean, let's start a conversation.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I'm not with Aigirim. I'm with Eli.
So who's ready with the sentence shown in the screen? Excuse me. Hello. Anybody?
안녕.
저기요.
저기요, that's correct. Excuse me.
Oh, sorry. We should do the excuse me. Okay.
And doing together, what's gonna be? Like excuse me and hello.
안녕하세요.
저기요, 안녕하세요. And then a person B replies.
네, 뭐요?
Yeah, but that was close. So 네, 왜요? Like why? 왜요? And A replies saying, "You're beautiful."
예뻐요.
Yeah, correct. And B turns out, "Yes, really?" Like, "Yeah, really?" Like that.
네, 진짜?
진짜요?
진짜? 네, 진짜요?
진짜야?
Yeah.
Huh.
So A saying, "No, I'm sorry."
아니요. 좋습니다.
Yeah.
Not
A
you,
saying
but you.
A saying that she's not beautiful. And B says, "Old man, are you crazy?"
Oh God. Old man, are you crazy? 아저씨. 미쳤요?
미쳤어요? 아저씨
Yeah.
미쳤어요?
Yeah. So,
Where are you getting 지사요? I don't see it.
Oh, it's because for polite version it's gonna be 미쳤어요, and casual just 미쳤어. So both ways they're correct.
Okay. 미쳤어.
Yeah. So to cover it again, excuse me, hello, gonna be 저기요, 안녕하세요. Let's do it. 저기요,
Okay.
안녕하세요.
저기요, 안녕하세요.
Mm-hmm. Yes, why? 네, 왜요?
Oh.
Try it.
Am I alone here?
Everyone, where are you?
Two people conversation. Okay, let me. Yeah, I can do it. One sec. 네.
Mm-hmm.
왜?
왜요?
네, 왜?
왜요? I think you better go with the polite version, assuming that you're talking to a stranger.
Okay, I'm just being like, all freaked out here, trying to choose the shorter version.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I go for 네, 왜요?
Correct. Correct.
아름다워요.
Mm-hmm.
예뻐요.
예뻐요. Yeah.
고마워.
That could be another answer. Yeah. Yes, thank you. Right.
아닙니다.
Yeah, that could work too. Like, oh no, I'm not beautiful, like that. But if we go on with the originally written text, it's gonna be yes, really? 네, 진짜요?
네, 진짜요?
아니에요. 죄송합니다.
Yeah, A saying 아니요, 죄송합니다.
아니요, 죄송합니다.
아니요, 죄송합니다.
Yeah. And B in the end gets angry and saying, old man, are you crazy? 아저씨, 미쳤어요?
아저씨. Come
미쳤어요?
again?
아저씨 미쳤어요?
Exactly.
미쳤어요?
Exactly. Like that. So I thought that could be a conversation that we can make of such sentences given there in the tablet. And let's talk about the Korean letter here. To tell you a little bit of a background of Korean letter. Back in old days, we spoke Korean as a language, as a spoken language, but we didn't have our own letter to express Korean. So even if spoken language was Korean, we wrote things out in Chinese characters. That's why the higher classes, the nobles, they know how to, read and write, but no lower classes, they didn't know, how to read and write. So a king called Sejong felt so sorry for the lower classes that they don't get the opportunity of reading and writing. And after contemplation, he invented a new letter that is suitable for Korean language. A fun fact about the king, he was the smartest one, not only as he is a king, but he was the most smart scholar of his time. He always, read books, and there was no book that he didn't read, and so on.
세종대왕.
That's right, 세종대왕, the great king of Sejong in Korean.
Founder of
세종대왕.
Ramen.
Yeah, right. So upon his invention of new letters, we have Korean letter called Hangul, and it goes like this. If you look at the table, we have the alphabet as the Latin alphabet, and the corresponding Korean letters as seen on the screen. So like B, D, G, H in English, but it's gonna be pa, ta, ka, ha, cha, ka, la, ba, da, pa, sa, ta, cha, a, like that. It's not 100% corresponding to English alphabets because we do not differentiate L or R sound. It's just la in Korean, la. So sometimes it's pretty interesting to see, you know, how the English names with L or R sound, they turn into Korean version and getting weird. So we have vowels like that, you know, a, o, u, I, e, like that. And whenever we are confronted with foreign names such as Vladimir Putin, to express his name in Korean, we cut down the names into syllables. So instead of Vladimir Putin, for example, it's going to be 불, 라, 디, 미, 르, Putin. So that's how it's transformed into Korean. So it reads as Vladimir Putin. Very interesting, right?
Yeah.
And like today's our host of Almaty Language Mixer, Alia Shaikina. Is it? Am I right? How to pronounce your name? Her name, Alia Shaikina. If we, you know, put that into syllables like we did, it's going to be al, li, ya, sha, i, ki, na. Together, Alia Shaikina. Like that. So as you see, Koreans, they combine the alphabets to consist one syllable, and the syllable, you know, just spreads, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, in that way. So I first thought of calling your names into a Korean version so that you can get the thoughts, you know, get the idea of Korean, how the Korean pronounce, you know, how they convert your name into Korean version. For example, to start with Aigerim, in Korean, with syllables, it's gonna be Aigerim. And with alternate Chengiz, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be Alternai Chengiz.
I kind of like it. It's cute.
Really? Thank you. And is that I to R? It's gonna be I to R. I to R into syllables.
Got it.
And Ja Niña, right? As we do not have pronunciation as such as Ja, it will change into Cha. Cha Ni Ya. Cha Ni Ya. And Nilai, I think it's pretty similar. Into Korean, it's gonna be Dil La I. Dil La I. All right. Did I cover everyone? Almost.
We have Daurien and Asia.
Taurien, right? It's gonna be Taurien. Taurien and Asia.
Pretty similar.
Yeah, pretty similar. So that was it for today's lesson of Korean society, culture, and language. Thank you for listening to my lesson today. I really appreciate it. And in case you have a bit of a free time, I highly recommend you to watch Conan Korean series on YouTube. I'm a huge fan of Conan, and his videos are so hilarious. I highly recommend it.
I watched it.
You watched it?
Yeah, it's so nice. He represents Korea from different side,
Hmm.
and yeah, and they also visit North Korean territory or what it's called.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they also
and
visited border.
yeah, border, and you can see that. I mean, Korea in general is a small country, but within itself there is separation. I mean, it's crazy because you can't see any country like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, that kind of separation strong between countries. Yeah,
Right. I
so
know
mhm.
in Germany, for example, they got divided but united later. In Vietnam, they got united anyway. But in Korea, sorely, the Cold War situation is still going. So it's pretty unique, I would say. And I don't know, probably in 20 years, it might change. Nobody knows, but we'll see.
Mhm.
Yeah. And very strange question appeared in my mind when I was watching this show. Yeah, it can be a bit strange, but I will. I would like to ask anyway. Um, what what will happen if North Korea will like take over South Korea? Like,
Mm,
don't you guys have something like that this might happen in the future, and all the K-pop, all thing that you have attained all these years, yeah, your technology advancement will just like be
we'll
under
just
North
go away,
Korea.
right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of especially old people, because they were directly or indirectly experienced war, whether they themselves experienced or their parents experienced, they have certain image of war and they were afraid of it, and they are anti-communism. They have strong anti-communism sentiment. So they're always saying that, oh, we gotta be afraid of North, or we gotta, keep strength of our own to defend our country, to fight against North. But as the generation passes by, I think that sentiment somehow gets diluted. So of course there's a still possibility of war, happening at any time, because we are currently just taking a break officially of war. It's not officially ended yet,
mhm.
but there's always a possibility of collapse of everything in case of war. So North Korea is developing missile, nuclear weapon, uh, but as a history, for 50 or 70 years, it has not happened yet. So we are glad on that, and hopefully it won't happen in the future as well.
Mm, yeah.
That's great.
Hmm.
Also, one more question. Do you know about the um, immigrated Korean people in the past who immigrated to Kazakhstan
I know, yes.
because of the Stalin repression?
Hmm.
And
So
yeah, can you talk
they
about it if you know
abs-
anything about? Mhm.
absolutely. So Koreans, of course, lived all together, in Korean Peninsula, and some of them they were, over Korean Peninsula to Chinese provinces and some part of Russia, especially the Dальнем Востоком районе,
Mhm.
like Vladivostok and so on. So they
Mhm.
formed their local community there, but as the war broke out between Soviet Union and Japan in World War II, Stalin was afraid of Korean local in who are living in Russian territory. They could be spies of Japanese, so he decided to move the Korean residents to other part of Russia or Soviet Union back in that time. So that's why all of a sudden peacefully living people in Far East, they were moved to Central Asia, to Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan. And for first years, they suffered a lot. They tried really hard to survive there, and thankfully, they somehow managed to do it with their own strength. They harvest a lot of urajai, like a
Yes.
lot of grains, and so on. So I'm glad to see that our people somehow made their own way there in Central Asia.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if you know, but they were mostly immigrated to Almaty region and Kızılorda region in Kazakhstan. And Almaty, you know Almaty well, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
But you know little about Kızılorda. But if I live in Kızılorda, and we have so much neighbors who are Korean. And since the day I was born, I've seen little cafes, Korean cafes, and my parents would enjoy kimchi, kuksi, food, and I think it kind of, how to explain, it kind of made our city much interesting. It kind of a culture, because there are not always other nationalities in my little city, but because of the Koreans, our city became much more entertaining because of the cafe, because of their festivals, and I think it has some advantages to some kind.
Diversities.
Yeah, it brought diversity to our small city. And usually Korean people here are very ambitious, and they set up businesses, and very forward-thinking people.
So I'm not really sure, how the local Korean there in Kazakhstan, what kind of images they have, amongst Kazakh or amongst Russians. But glad to hear that they are contributing to the diversity of the nation, Kazakhstan, and they're doing their own part somehow within the country.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your lesson. Thank you for your time. 감사합니다.
Thank you very much for joining today. So maybe we can call it a day.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
So, HyunOh, also just want to say thank you, and also as a tradition, always like just to capture the moment. So if it's possible, let's just take a group photo, and just it'd be nice just to remember this lesson. So if you could maybe stop sharing the screen, that it will have a gallery mode.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. So if ready, well, first we actually can just say thank you in Korean, right? So let's say today we had a nice Korean lesson, and we want to say to HyunOh,
감사합니다.
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 고마워요.
네.
Yeah,
감사합니다.
thank you very much. So,
감사합니다.
but if you have some, just maybe one or two questions, if somebody have, you can answer. Or if not, then we can, I guess, go it today. Yeah.
Join us, please. More. Let's do more complicated lesson next time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm open to it. So hope to have such a lesson again with Almaty Language Mixer. Thank you for today's opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you everybody. So goodbye everyone.
See you.
Bye everyone.
안녕.
안녕.